Beyond the Fairway podcast. Come on, man. You already know it's your home for all things swagged out in golf. Dougie Fresh alongside Will Lowery. Will, it's been a week, man. We're going to get the Chris Canty interview in a second, but it was an interesting week in the game of golf. Will, I'll let you start us out while you box air.
Dog, I got a gnat in here. It's right here, dog. It's right here. Yeah, man. I got my little Mayweather thing going real quick. You know,
you got your Roy Jones Jr.
But yeah, so it was a crazy weekend. Like, it was a crazy weekend in sports, like as a whole. Like, yeah. I mean, I'm watching U.S. Women's Open. My girl's going to a playoff. I'm seeing Game 7s in the NBA between Dallas and Clippers. Even like, I don't know if you've been keeping up with this one. The James Madison softball team. I know it's wild, but I was watching this thing. I'm watching girls softball like to a T, and I'm up and crying over that little story. So it was good. It was a good weekend for sports overall, man. So hey, did you watch the Mayweather fight?
No, I didn't. I watched the memorial that I thought Rahm was going to turn into Mayweather after being DQ'd from that thing. Facts. I tell you that. Here's what I don't understand, Will. Let me just, for those that don't know, Rahm was DQ'd after testing positive going into the third round of finishing the third round of the memorial presented by Nationwide. Gets notified after completing the 18th hole that he has tested positive for COVID. He's forced to withdraw from the championship at 16 under par. He had an 8-shot lead at the time. 6-shot, 8-shot. One of the two, he had a big lead. It's more than 4. Let's just say that.
It was a social distance number.
Yeah, he was socially distant from the entire. That's a great
absolutely.
statement. That is
absolutely.
But one thing about this him getting DQ'd, him having to withdraw from COVID, Will, that I don't understand is, when did they know? Like, when did the PGA Tour officials know that Rahm was out there COVID-licious? Like, I'm saying, did they know on 4? Did they know on 9? Like, you mean to tell me you're going to let this man get all the way to the finish line in the third round and be like, hey, homie, I'm going to need you to put a mask on because you got that vid. Like, that's some bull stuff to me, man. I'm going to just be real with you. I don't think it's fair. It's not fair that he had COVID. Like, I'm sorry that Rahm had to go through what he's going through. But it's also not fair that players had to play with him and caddies and patrons. A man that's tested positive for COVID, Will, gets to go outside and frolic for 5.5 hours. I thought it was a big miss by the PGA.
But based off like my experience with COVID and how COVID really affected my family last year, I had that same question as well. Because if he received the results, and I say the PGA Tour received the results on the 18th hole while he's on the 18th green, okay, we have nothing to say. Zero. But I find that highly unlikely that they didn't get the possible results early in that round. But nonetheless, there is some questions. It's not our job to figure out how to get to the bottom of it. But I tell you this though, I can tell Rahm was affected because when I'm not laughing at all. But when he received that news, did you see his first step? He went sideways. Like I was like, man, it was like Mayweather got a hold of him. Like he got it and went sideways. And I can tell that he was really affected by the whole situation. He really wanted to be there because he was playing some phenomenal golf. And he was. But what's your thoughts on some of the things that you may have read? Like, I read something where the PGA Tour should consider that he go out on his own the final day and play by himself. What's your thoughts on that? I mean, I had mixed feelings on that.
Yeah, I posted something about that. And was he going to play in a hazmat suit? The caddy's going to have a scuba diving helmet on or something? I don't know. I mean, I guess he's been exposed. But, for the record, Rahm was asymptomatic, so it wasn't something that he could have self-diagnosed. All right, let's just say that. But look, Andy Levinson, the PGA Tour, he's the senior vice president of tournament administration, Will, said in a Zoom call that the decision to tell Rahm when and how was based on the timing of the results. He said, quote, "We received the initial positive results at 4:20 p.m. Our medical advisor ordered a rerun of the test of the original sample. We were notified of that, and he believed the exact time was 6:03 p.m. Eastern time. And he says, I think he had already hit his second shot And so our advisor notified him as soon as he finished, end quote. So
that explains it.
Andy's statements, Will, he got that info in real time. All right. And you know what? But here's the story that's not being told about the memorial.
Talk to me.
And I've had the privilege to meet Jack Nicklaus a few times in my life. Jack is an interesting cat. He's tough. And he look at you like you trying to get money from him when he look at you like you're short.
I know his IG messages are tough.
Nobody's talking about what John Rahm was doing to Muirfield Village after Jack absolutely dug up the course to redo the entire thing last year. You know, when they finished play last year, the 6th green had already been scalped off.
And dug up.
It was gone.
Absolutely.
The trophy up, no green. You can't tell me Jack Nicklaus was happy that John Rahm had an 8-shot, 6-shot lead on that event and at 16 under par after 3. Jack was like this, son of a gun. John, you know what? Take this COVID right here.
I'm kidding. All right. And it's so funny. I think it seemed like Jack is the only person that takes it personal when somebody dismantle his course. Like I don't know if you caught the conversation he had with Colin Morikawa after the playoff with him and Patrick Cantley on the 18th, second playoff hole, and Colin Morikawa missed the putt, and Jack said, "Man, you played well. Was the putt a little too high?" You know, and it's like I got that ass. it was just so funny how Jack really, you can't disrespect the greatest of all time, something he designed. It's supposed to play tough for you, but it's they did well in that course because
Jack was looking at Rahm like this.
Yeah. we're back to the drawing board. Jackie.
Hey, you know Jack was mad when he sucked his teeth. Look.
He's like, me and Jackie, my son, has to go back to the drawing board and figure this thing out. But it's crazy, like how you have the perspective of an amateur and you have the perspective of a tour pro. Obviously, seeing the results and what they're doing. I talked to Steph because he went to go play in the Pro-Am at Muirfield this week, and he said that course is probably one of the toughest courses he ever seen. And I quickly sent him a screenshot of this leaderboard. I said, "What course?" Because this is totally different from what you're speaking of. But yeah, man, it was. I love to see people struggle a little bit, but I didn't see it this year over there. So,
but we also had on the other side of the nation, the United States Women's Open being played there at the Olympic Club. Yuka Saso playoff dubs, being the Philippines' first women's U.S. Open champion. Hey, man, look, she got status. I saw the interviews and stuff. We all know how the interview goes. I'm so excited. Thank you, blah, 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 blah. But the best one I saw was when PGA officials was like, hey, you are a 5-year LPGA card-carrying member. That's when she turned up. Like, oh, but snap, I got a job? I got a job to play? Let's go.
But think about it, though, Doug, I think she turned up prior to that because she said that she models her game after Roy McIlroy. All right, that's cool. But when you get Roy McIlroy to tweet you on the eve of the final round saying, "Go get that trophy," I'm paraphrasing, but go get that trophy, man. If that don't add some pep in your step, give you a new scratch and sniff on the game, I'm telling you, man. That right there is probably what made the whole the storyline for me because Roy didn't have to do that. And game recognized game, cuz. So I think that's pretty much where that's my highlight of the whole situation, whole tournament.
Lexi Thompson coming down the stretch, Will. Very, very disappointing. Pride of America on her shoulders. I don't know if she felt it or not. I was rooting for Lexi, but to see her struggle like she has over time. Final rounds, Lexi, that's where the nerves come. I'm not putting it on you, Lexi. I apologize, but it does look like during the final rounds, that's when we get a little shaky. It's when that putter starts to wobble, miss some short putts, balls are going offline. But
hey, leave Lexi alone. She's all right.
That's fine. We all
get
synced,
it, but
synced
I get it. That's enough. That's enough.
All Lexi right, well, look,
she's in a good space.
She's in good space. Hey, she got a check. You know what I'm saying?
She got it.
But look, Will, without further ado, we get to go beyond the fairway with my man, my homie, somewhat big brother-ish mentor kind of guy, something like that. We're going to be on the fairway. Super Bowl champion Chris Canty coming in here right now. Beyond the Fairway podcast welcomes in my man, my good homie, Mr. Chris Canty, Super Bowl champion Chris Canty. What's up, CC?
What's going on, Dougie Fresh? How you and Will doing?
Man, we good, man. It's still a little. It's weird because it's a little chilly here in Charlotte, your old hometown. But June right now is still a little chilly, which is weird. I don't know what's going on with this.
Yeah, it's a little off everywhere, man. I mean, New York City ain't made up its mind whether or not it wants to be summer, winter.
Right.
We still ain't figured that part of it out. So
it's almost,
you ain't alone with that.
It's almost as if summer was like, "Are you coming?" Spring, and spring was like, "Man, who's all over there?" Because I don't know if I'm summer.
That's exactly it.
Hey, I'm just glad we
can. Who made it?
Right, exactly.
I'm just glad we got Chris back in here for an official episode of Beyond the Fairway. For the listeners out there that don't, well, actually not many people will know this, Chris held us all the way down when this was an idea, when this was a pitch. Chris Canty was one of the few people that took a chance on two knuckleheads in a podcast like me and Will. Came in, we did the interview. So between you and Bryce Butler, Chris, we do want to say thank you because this is real now. Like this actually, we out here living the dream. So thank you, Chris.
Absolutely. You know I got you guys, man.
And we appreciate you bearing with us because that was a waste of time on that pitch, man. I cannot pay you. I cannot pay you your time back. I know I can't afford it, but that was a waste of time. But we got benefit from it and gain from it. Absolutely.
I'm glad it's all working out for you. But when you guys become big time, like just make sure you don't forget about your boy. Like make sure I still get an invite to the cookout. I'm just saying.
Absolutely.
No, you're going to get an invite to the country club. That's where that starts. You know what I mean?
Okay.
We're going to bring you out to the...
What's up?
But, let's start there, Chris, because I do know you are a golfer. I want to know about your game, where it's been, where is it at, and where is it heading?
Well, my game is probably in bad shape right now because I hadn't had a chance to get out this season. I mean, it's been one thing or another that's kept me from being able to pop out there on the golf course. But I'm looking forward to swing them a little bit now that we're on the other side of Memorial Day weekend, having a chance to get out and enjoy the good weather. It's just one of those things that you got to find time in order to be able to do it. And I just haven't been able to find the time because I've been so busy with my career.
So where would be, when you start playing golf this year in the season, what's one of the first courses you're going to? Where?
Oh, man, I'm going down the Colton River in Bluffton, South Carolina. You guys know I keep a crib down on the South Carolina coast.
Hilton Head of the world.
And, where they got more golf courses than they do people. So That's one of the courses that I love to go down there and play, man. It's awesome. It's a beautiful track. I think it's a Pete Dye course. And so I'll go out there and play a little bit, man. But I love playing that course.
God, Pete Dye, man. Pete Dye.
I'm hit or miss with Pete Dye.
It's like Pete Dye has me aiming in the tool shed of the toolbox. and for some reason I'm like, why is the ball going over there? Like I can't figure it out.
Yeah, Pete Dye's a master of angles. He gets on my nerve, Chris, but I do want to touch on your career because and then I'm going to bring it back to golf eventually because you've transitioned from the league into the booth. I want to know what that's like because you it's got to, you were an expert on the field on that gridiron, and now you had to go somewhere where you weren't really the expert. What's that like, and what's your path been like?
Man, it's been a hustle, man. It's an unconventional path, and I knew it would kind of be a little bit of a learning curve when I transitioned because football was something that came so naturally to me. I mean, I started playing football my junior year in high school, so by the time I got to the league, I had been doing it long enough where I had a pretty good feel for what was happening out there. But with this career and now being a part of corporate America as opposed to being a part of a locker room, it's a little bit different. So understanding the different nuances, understanding, how to try to progress in your career, trying to evolve in terms of developing your voice, like those are all things that you got to figure out on the fly. So, it's been good so far, still not where I want to be. But one of the things that I realize in this is that you can't turn down work, you can't turn down opportunities. A lot of getting to where you want to be is just making sure that you're available when people call on you. So, that's one of the things that I try to pride myself on is being available to step in when there's an opportunity.
Yeah, we got a saying around here: work leads to work. But quick question regarding that: are you as tough on yourself in learning, tackling this learning curve like you are in football, or like you were in football?
Oh yeah, no question about it. Like I only know one way to be. So I mean, it's just like if it's not perfect, then I'm trying to figure out how can I make sure that it's perfect the next time. The thing that you got to realize is that you got to give yourself a little bit of grace, because when you're doing a show, it's never going to be perfect. And so just try not to let those mistakes get in the way of you continuing to do good stuff. So, I mean, that's the biggest thing for me. I spend so much time focused on the mistakes, I don't really sit back and look at all of the positive things that I'm doing. So with football, it's a little bit easier to have a short-term memory, especially when you have a scoreboard, and when you win, it's just like, all right, I might not have played my best, but we still won the game. Okay. With this career, it's like there really is no scoreboard. Like you got ratings, but that's not exactly an exact science. So it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, I didn't feel great about the show, and you kind of lament some of the things that you felt like you could have done better.
So, but how do you practice? Oh, real quick, Will, I got to get into this. How do you? Because I find this very interesting. As you can see, Will and I talk over each other. I guess we're over the air doing this. But how do you practice? I don't think there's a way to practice this work. So, like being hard on yourself, I feel like you're learning in the game. Like you got to go from game to game in the broadcast, space. So, are you practicing? How do you get better?
Well, one of the things that I think helps to develop my talent is just listening to a lot of different styles. I consume a ton of contact with sports, obviously, because I got to stay in the know, but also consuming podcasts from different lanes. Like I love listening to the Breakfast Club with Charlemagne and Envy and Yee. Like I'll listen to different people's stuff outside of sports, just so I can hear the sound and I can hear how they try to deliver their takes, how they try to deliver their opinions. Because I think all of that goes into trying to develop my style and continue to evolve as a talent. So I'm a big believer that you can learn from anybody. So I try to listen to as many people as I can.
So who's out there that you admire the most?
Oh, man, Stephen A. Smith, man. Stephen A. Smith is like the demolition man when it comes to media. Like this dude is not only the biggest personality with SportsCenter and ESPN, but he's branching off and doing Stephen A.'s world. He's dabbling in some late night stuff. You see him on General Hospital as Brick. Like Stephen A. is everywhere, man. So I just think, like, in terms of somebody that does a good job of presenting their authentic self, he balances that line between being his authentic self and playing that character for entertainment value. I think Stephen A. is one of the best in the business.
Yeah, he definitely has a skill set to where even when he's in the middle of a heated argument and he may say some key things, you're like, I think he's talking to me, or he's talking to the culture.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I think that's probably one amazing thing that he does.
Yeah.
Chris, you said something interesting. You took up football your junior year of high school. That seems late, man, to most cats that play in the league, because you skipped Pop Warner, touch, flag. You just went straight into hitting a person. Can't say
there you go.
Stop.
There you go.
Just went into hitting
there you go.
person.
See, hey, Chris.
Beyond the Fairway,
Hey, Chris, he tried to get me fired, bro. He tried to get me fired. He has this locked down already.
Well, I have to put y'all on Bravo before it's all said and done.
or Beyond the Fairway BT Golf.
I know our producers hate us.
It's only available on Peacock.
Available on Peacock, right?
I didn't say it. I was about to say it. I said hit a person for the record.
Nah. You know what? You're right, Doug. I came to football a little bit late for guys that actually make it to the NFL. Like a lot of guys start a lot younger. But I was just living those hoop dreams when I was a kid. I'm from the Bronx. So, I mean, there's not a whole lot of guys that made it to the NFL from the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? So, like, when I was growing up, it was about basketball. Like, my brother went to high school with Rod Strickland, so it was like kind of like, okay, it's either you hoop. Baseball was a big deal, so I played baseball. I really didn't get into football until later in life. And it's an interesting story because the thing that pushed me out there on the football field was my mom. She got tired of me coming straight home after school in the fall, not having extracurricular activities, not being a part of any clubs. not having a job. So she was like, you got to do something. Like, you got too much free time on your hands. And, you know, those black moms from the old school, they
mamas
think that,
know. Mamas know.
That idle time is the devil's workshop. So
absolutely.
She was like, you got to do something in the fall. And I was like, man, well, I ain't going to get a job because a job is work. So let me try this football thing. And I always joke about this, but it ends up being the best decision my mom ever made because I parlayed 2 years of high school football into a scholarship to UVA, and the rest is history. So, yeah, I came to it a little bit late, but, you know, the thing that I loved about football was that you could hit somebody as hard as you wanted to, and you couldn't get in trouble for it. And when I realized that that was something that was celebrated as opposed to being criticized like in a sport like basketball, I was like, yeah, this is my lane right here.
And you were a small guy. It's not like you were a small dude. So it's like, yeah, go ahead.
But Doug, this is going to surprise you now. I wasn't a big dude either. I was 6'5", 185 pounds.
That's my size.
Yeah, you was very small. He was very small, 6'5".
Exactly.
Hey, Will, he was wearing skinny pants back then. He had on.
It's
185.
Real slim. Now I wasn't Snoop Dogg in the A-shirt slim, not like that, but I was still really. It was like I was small. I was smeaty.
I mean, I can't relate when you say 6'5". You lost me at the 6'5" part. You know.
What you mean? I mean, it's just.
I
had no choice. My mom is 6 feet tall, and my dad is 6'6". So I was gonna be tall, but we didn't know whether or not I was gonna be able to put that weight on.
Well, I mean, I have a 5 in my height, but I have another 5 right beside it too. So
that's right. We can put some heel lifts in your shoes, Will.
I mean, I already put enough tissue. I put enough tissue in my shoes as it is, you know. But I want to kind of talk about. You just touched on something. You say your mother. So she's an ordained minister, and you know, when I see you and hear you do other type of interviews, I start to hear there's a scripture in the Bible where it says, you know, my sheep knows my voice in John 10, whatever. And there's things that you say to where I hear you speak. I'm like, oh, that's scripture right there. So I like to know, like, I like to know, like, how has faith been such an impact on your career and just your journey?
Well, it's been my foundation, Will. Like, I mean, that's the most important thing. Like, there are going to be things that you experience. There are going to be adverse circumstances, and you know, not all the time you're going to have somebody that's going to be able to hold you down. Like, you know, there are going to be some situations that your closest people ain't going to be able to understand. Like, your parents ain't going to understand, your girl's not going to understand, or your wife, your best friend. But God always understands. And so being able to have that connection with the man, have that relationship, that's what sustained me, man, through all the ups and downs. And so, you know, that's always been my foundation. That's you know, my guiding principle that gives me my purpose in life, and that's how I try to move. You know, I try not to get too preachy. I don't want to be one of those people that are Bible thumper. One of my favorite quotes that my mom ever gave me was, "Preach the gospel always, when necessary, use words." So I try to let my actions, you know, show you my guiding principles, my faith, and that's just kind of where I'm at with it.
I love that.
Look, you talk about your foundation, you know, being a good book. I also want to talk about the Chris Canty Foundation. Chris, tell us a little bit about what you're trying to accomplish and what I don't want to say niche, what you hope to do through your foundation.
Well, it's simple, Doug. I mean, I started the foundation as a way to be able to pay it forward. There were so many people, you know, in my life growing up that were instrumental in me getting to where I'm at right now. Like, it was so many neighbors like Miss Harper, who used to look after us. She lived across the street when I was on Bartow Avenue. Shout out to Miss Harper.
She wasn't like Miss Parker, night, was she?
Nah, see.
Okay. I'm just making sure. I know we just got talking about God. I know. Forgive me, Jesus.
You're a bad guy, man. You're a bad guy, man. But like Miss Harper, Miss Dixon, like just a bunch of folks in my neighborhood that looked out for me when I was a kid. And I know that there's nothing I could do to pay them or their families back. So for me, it's important to try to pay it forward. And that's what the Chris Canty Foundation is, just being able to give kids the opportunities, the tools that they need in order to build their dream. So the most recent thing that the foundation has done, we donated to over 100 computers to PS43 in the South Bronx for their computer lab and their remote studies. So that was awesome to be able to do that. You know, we're always looking for opportunities to help, man. We always are. And so that's something that I love to engage in. And the foundation, like being able to give back, especially to kids, is something that I love to do. And the foundation is my vehicle to be able to do it.
Yeah, I find it interesting though, Chris, because a lot of folks will use golf tournaments to promote, their foundation work, et cetera, and raise money and funds. Being a golfer yourself, not getting to play as much. Talk about your golf tournament a little bit and how the people that you kind of used and networked through the game of golf have helped you kind of perpetuate your foundation and really do some great work there. And hell, all the communities you really visit.
Well, golf is just a great opportunity for everybody to socialize, right? Like when you're on a golf course, you get an opportunity to go out there with some people that you actually like being around, and you spend, a 4 or 5 hour block, and you're in some of the most picturesque scenes across the country. So it's a great opportunity to just kind of socialize and kick it with your people. And so we just try to capture some of that and use that to our benefit by being able to provide a fundraising lane for the Chris Canty Foundation. And one of the things that I'm thankful for is just that so many community partners in the tri-state area and down in the Carolinas have been gracious enough to participate year over year. And it's afforded us the opportunity to do some really, really cool things. Like we had an opportunity to build a brand new playground for an elementary school in the South Bronx. Nice. We've had the opportunity to donate resources to schools for their academic curriculum so that the students would have the tools that they need in order to be better. Like it's not
amazing.
Just
sports stuff, not just sports.
No,
you know what I'm saying? I think a lot of people peg.
Truth be told, it's very little sports stuff. Like it's very little sports stuff. It's more of the academic stuff. It's more of the experiential stuff. Like we had an opportunity to work with an organization called Legal Outreach, and we paid for a group of 50 kids to be able to go down to the African American History Museum down in DC. Like it was pretty cool, like just to be able to have the opportunity to do stuff like that. So, that's what the Chris Canty Foundation is all about. I don't want to try to force my lane onto other people. It's just about trying to give kids the opportunities to figure out what their lane is.
Do you guys have a golf tournament this year? When is it this year?
We're not doing a golf tournament this year because we still feel like we're in COVID world and we don't want to put anybody at unnecessary risk. But we're looking to bring the golf tournament back in 2022.
Nice. Very
nice. I'll be there. Alpine Country Club holding it down up there in Jersey.
Nah, we're not doing it at Alpine Country Club.
Oh, come on, man. I like that.
We switched it up. Nah, we liked it too, but we just couldn't work out we couldn't come to an agreement on how we were going to move forward with that partnership. So the golf course is going to be TBD, but Doug, you know me. You know how I get down. It's going to be a beautiful course. You already know. I don't play games.
It's going to be super situated.
I mean, it would be nice to come back to your, old hometown, by way of Charlotte, North Carolina, I mean, Will, do you have a hookup at Quail Hollow? You got I do actually. I do.
Right here.
Okay, so
and Charlotte Country Club. And Charlotte Country Club as well. So where do you want to go?
Well, maybe we can talk about it then. Maybe
we're putting people on blast on national podcast media. You know what? We're gonna start it here and we're gonna take it there. Now, Chris, look, something I need to ask you because I keep getting this question when people talk to me, and I don't understand why they think I'm the person to ask because I didn't play in the league. We're starting to see golf really transcend. And finally, let me say this. We're finally starting to see, we've seen DJ Khaled and Puff. What's his name now? Puff? Papa Diddy Love? I don't know.
P. Diddy.
We've seen Rick Ross, DJ Khaled, P. Diddy. I seen D. Wade get a lesson from Tiger Woods. Michael Phelps is out playing golf. What is it about this game that professional athletes gravitate toward post their athletic career?
I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. Golf is something that you can never fully master. That's what it is. Like for people that have played at the highest level in their respective sports, or somebody that's at the highest level in their respective field, like when you come to golf, just when you think you got the hang of it, something happens and you're like, man, this game, it humbles you like no other. And so I think that challenge is what keeps guys gravitating toward the sport. It brings out the competitive nature of high-level athletes. So I think that's why so many guys you're seeing now, take up the game of golf and learn the game of golf, because that challenge, that chase is what keeps you coming back. It's really addictive, man. Golf is a drug. It really is, man. And it's an expensive habit to have. Like it's not Bobby Brown expensive, but you know what I mean. It's an expensive habit to have. And so,
it's definitely their prerogative for sure.
Yeah, exactly. But I love the game of golf, and I think that's why so many other professional athletes love it.
It just seems like it's. I find that really thought provoking. It's a game you can't master. I've been good at all this stuff over here, and now I'm gonna go take on this task that I know I'm gonna suck at. It's just it sounds
especially
like,
but especially from an athlete who has somewhat no experience of mastering a particular craft.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, like that is kind of I guess oxymoron-ish.
Oxymoronic. No, for sure.
I don't know. But speaking of like athletes, we're gonna get a little bit of NFL talk. I got a couple teams because it's only personal to me. I know we may be talking about the Aaron Rodgers situation. You know, can that? I mean, is there enough hate in the world to pay your money back to somebody where you don't want to be? Because I'm never gonna give. I'm never going to pay my ex-girlfriend her money back for for separate ways. So, hey, how is that? What's your take on that?
Well, you gotta explain to Aaron. Hold on, we gotta explain to Aaron. Chris, bring that all the way full circle. You know it's a podcast. You gotta explain what's going on.
Okay, so I'm gonna bring it all the way back. So when Aaron Rodgers lost to Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the NFC title game, at the post-game press conference, he talked about his future being a beautiful mystery, and a lot of questions came up when the Packers 2 years ago decided they were going to draft a kid named Jordan Love out of Utah State to be Aaron Rodgers' successor. Now, we all know the story about Aaron Rodgers and how he was drafted while Brett Favre was still the quarterback of the Packers. So the Packers are staying with their same game plan, but Aaron Rodgers felt like he was performing at a level that didn't warrant them thinking about life after him being the quarterback. So it's one of those things where the quarterback and the front office for the Packers are at odds because of miscommunication, and people really don't know how it's going to get fixed. Like Aaron hadn't showed up all off season. He's got pictures with him and his lady out on the islands, on vacation while everybody else is back in Green Bay working. So people are wondering, like, is Aaron Rodgers serious about never playing for the Packers again, feeling some kind of way because the team decided to draft another quarterback? And Will, you touched on it, man. Like I can understand players having an issue with some of the things that an organization does, especially a quarterback, because you got so much sway, you got so much influence. But at the same time, it's like $30 million is $30 million, man. That's like, I just couldn't imagine a world where as a player, you're willing to give up a year at the end of your career, because Aaron Rodgers is going into his age 38 season. Right. You would give up a year playing with a team that went to back-to-back NFC title games and the opportunity to pocket $30 million. I can't imagine doing that. I mean, that's a level of privilege that I don't know that I will ever experience. But it seems like Aaron Rodgers is serious about not playing for the Packers.
Well, he's going to be.
I guess you would have to be not serious about it if you're considering paying back $30 million.
Yeah, serious is an understatement. But he's going to be at the American Century this year, so perhaps maybe Doug and I can get an exclusive.
Ooh, yeah.
But
know what he says about that.
One last football question I got to know, and only because I hope you can understand my heart and my connection to him, is the Carolina Panthers. We got Sam Darnold, former Jet quarterback. Where do you see us going this year? Please,
man, it's going to be really, really good. It's going to be really, really bad. And the beautiful part about it is nobody in football knows. Nobody in football knows, because Sam Darnold is an enigma. I watched him play 3 years with the Jets. I still don't know what the kid is, but I will say this. I believe in the talent, and it's probably going to be up to Matt Rule on how this thing goes, whether or not he can bring out the best in Sam. But I think the Carolina Panthers have some pieces in place. Like, you got Robbie Anderson, you got DJ Moore, you got Christian McCaffrey. They've upgraded along the offensive line. Like, that's a team that's coming, but it's just a matter of whether or not the guy under center can get his head together. I say this a lot of times with professional athletes, but with quarterbacks particularly, it's not just about the physical ability, it's about the 6 inches between their ears. And that's the part that we don't know where Sam Darnold is at with it. Like, confidence is everything. Like, you saw it with Carson Wentz in Philadelphia this past year. Like, he he looked like he was shot. Like, I mean, the guy led the league in sacks and interceptions and only played in 12 games. But that's a different Carson Wentz than we saw in 2017 when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it just shows you how important confidence is. And I don't know where Sam Darnold's confidence level is after his 3 years with the Jets, who are one of the worst organizations in all of sports.
You sound like my first sponsor. He has talent, but he's an enigma. I don't know what. I make sure he pronounced enigma correctly, but I just don't know. I just don't know where he. I don't know where Will is.
Take the emphasis off the N and the G when you say.
There you go. Yeah, okay.
You put that enigma.
Yeah.
In there.
Yeah. Make sure your diction's right, homie.
Oh, for sure.
One thing that I want to ask you, because I find it polarizing. A few years ago, the NFL, the nation was absolutely split over this entire Colin Kaepernick conversation. He's taking a knee, disrespecting the flag in America. We know as brown folks, he was actually protesting during the national anthem. He was protesting police injustice. After seeing the events, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, and I'm sad, I don't want to mention all the other countless acts of insanity against black and brown communities. What could have happened, Chris, if they just would have listened to what he was trying to say rather than putting it all on the American flag?
Well, Doug, you're talking about saving lives. Like, that's what it is. I mean, when we had the discussion about whether it was right or wrong what Colin Kaepernick was doing, a lot of people that were anti were people that just didn't want to have the conversation in the first place. Like, people wanted to ignore the disparity in the treatment of black Americans and brown Americans when it comes to law enforcement. People didn't want to talk about, the issues that we're having in our community in terms of, the economics of everything and having the opportunity for upward mobility in this country. People didn't want to talk about the lack of resources from an education standpoint in our community. People used the methodology from Colin Kaepernick to punt on the conversation, no pun intended, altogether. Mm-hmm. And so I think when we had George Floyd happen Memorial Day 2020, it was a situation where people realized they could no longer ignore what was happening. Like, the things that the people in the black community were talking about were actually real, and we've got video evidence of it, how somebody could so callously kneel on the back of a man's neck for over 8 minutes, somebody that was already restrained to the point where it leads to that person's death. Like, we could no longer ignore that. And so I think that the NFL realized after the fact that they were absolutely wrong, that they should have stepped up to the forefront like so many others and tried to take charge of this and take control of this and put the full weight of their resources behind trying to make substantive change. And I think that's where we're at right now. I think we still have to continue to have these conversations, still acknowledge that folks were wrong in real time, but then try to build a bridge and figure out how we can all come together so we can make progress. Because right now, things are still at a standstill. I mean, we still see it happening with law enforcement mistreating black and brown Americans all over the country, abusing their power. So we've got to figure out a way where we can come together so we can make the change that we all know is necessary.
I want to dive a little deeper on that. We heard from the top Mr. Roger Goodell speak his piece regarding the whole situation. But have you caught the tone or any conversation within about other teams, like management in specific as far as the situation with the George Floyd and the Colin Kaepernick? Like, are they there are other teams that want to be a part of the change, right? There are teams that are more progressive, and there are teams that are more conservative in the NFL. And so I think as a whole, the league recognizes that they got to become a part of this, because the NFL has inserted itself at the forefront of all these different social issues, whether it comes to domestic violence, whether it comes to mental health. And so this is one of those that they actually have to step up as well. Like, I get that they don't want to alienate a segment of their fan base, but you can't sit on your moral high ground. You can't sit on your moral high horse when it comes to those other issues and not realize that you got to be a part of this, especially when that issue affects the communities of so many of the players that you actually employ that make your product go. So I just feel like the NFL can't sit on the sidelines when it comes to this, because that would be convenient for their bottom line. The NFL has to put that aside and recognize how important of an issue this is.
and recognize that it's also an inflection point in the history of this country. They want to be on the right side of that.
You know, it's funny. I played golf a couple days ago at a very prestigious course in Scioto Country Club here in Columbus, Ohio, and I was playing with an ophthalmologist that I know very well, and he said something to me that really I had to stop because it was a very interesting statement, and how it came to be was very interesting. I'll tell you what it was, and I'm paraphrasing. He said, I have a new son. He was talking to me about raising kids, and we were just talking about advice. Growing. You have a son. Give me some advice. He goes, Doug, I want to apologize because you are going to have conversations with your son that I will never have with mine. And he's got grown kids. But he's saying you're going to have to talk to your son about how to interact around police, how to code switch and be kind of two people in different scenarios as a black man in America. And I found his wokeness as a 74-year-old man extremely interesting. But going back to a larger point, I found the conversation extremely interesting and dope because it was at a golf course. Like, golf brought us together to where we could have a conversation like that so he could share his feelings and sentiments on the current state of our nation. And I found that to be one of the most fascinating moments ever.
Dougie, do you think you ever had that conversation if it wasn't for the golf course with him?
Never. No question. I wouldn't have that conversation. There wouldn't have been a common ground for us to meet. And that's to bring that back to golf, Chris. And that's what I think in this era. I really do believe golf can serve as this social bridge that brings people together because, like you said earlier, you're going to get that time on the golf course to talk about everything. My auntie, cousin, them. And you can actually talk about some of these polarizing topics within society. So I found that interesting, Chris. And I know you've had some different opportunities on the golf course, but it's just, I really think golf can bring us together and kind of help lead some of this charge to make a better America.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Doug. I mean, sports in general has always served as a conduit to be able to bring folks together. And, going back to the Cleveland Summit in the late 60s with Jim Brown and Muhammad Ali and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bill Russell, and others, like black athletes getting together to utilize their platforms and use their voices in order to speak out for the different issues that our community is facing. But just having people become allies, having people listen to understand so that they can continue to educate themselves on the different things that are going on so they can be more effective in their respective communities. I think those are all important things, and sports plays a major role in being able to make all of that happen.
Well, Chris Canty, man, we appreciate you stepping in here with us. But before we let you go, we got to kick it back up. You already know this wasn't here when we did all the rehearsals and stuff. Now we're gonna wrap it up how we do it. You're gonna go play golf with 4 rappers. Rap foursome right here, Beyond the Fairway podcast. You're playing golf with 4 rappers. It's gonna be you and 4, so 5 of y'all. All right. I don't care if they play golf. I don't care if they dead or alive. Rap foursome with Chris Canty. Who you pulling up with?
We going dead or alive, huh?
Yeah.
Dead or alive.
All right. So I'm one of the rare guys that appreciates both Big and Tupac. So both of them got to be on the list. Jay-Z's got to be on the list. Who's that other rapper that I'm going to throw on there? I mean, you threw... who's that other rapper? You know who I'm going to put on that list as well?
No.
Nas. Nas has to be on that list. Has to be on that list. So it's a very New York-centric list for me.
It is.
Really, a lot of New York. Like, even Tupac, I'm just saying, he's born in New York. I'm just saying. A lot of New Yorkers in that list, so yeah. That's where I'm at with it.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate y'all don't have a golf course there for all of them to go to.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah, that's the bad part.
You got to go to New Jersey or Connecticut, right?
Right.
That's the only place. Or play a Trump facility. Either way, I'm just saying.
Let me tell you what we're not gonna do.
Hey, but I can imagine how dope would it be to be on a golf course with Nas to talk about all the investments and things that he's doing? I mean, just in the world,
People sleep on Nas, man.
He is so quiet.
He's a restaurateur. He's an entrepreneur.
VC.
He's getting involved in like Bitcoin.
And crypto, all that.
Crypto, like all these cryptocurrencies. Like he's doing all of this stuff. People sleep on the Ring doorbell thing that he was involved in.
Yes.
Like Nas is. Nas is killing the game. Like, I mean, real G's move in silence like lasagna. I'm just saying.
Absolutely.
Nas is doing his thing out there.
Wheezy.
Oh, for sure.
Real G's move in silence like lasagna. Chris Canty stepping in, going beyond the fairway right here. Golf Channel NBC. Chris, thank you so much. And, we know you on the other side, but if you wants to holler at NBC for you, so all right, got you.
Let us know.
I appreciate you guys, man. Thanks for having me on.
The big homie, Christopher Canty, coming in here, going beyond the fairway with us, Will, man. You know what? What I appreciate about golf, okay, is the fact that we can bring everybody in here. Super Bowl champion, got 2 cribs, one in South Carolina where he can go play some golf, and he loves it, enjoys the game. This game, we say it all the time, Will, but really does bring people together. How often do you see a 6'5", 185-pound junior in high school out there on them links, between football practice and doing what his mom's telling him to do? But, man, golf just brings us together, man.
Yeah, man. One thing I really appreciate about that is I wish you would have commented on his gloves, playing golf with football gloves on. I would have loved it. Had that conversation. But one thing I have to say, man, about Canty is, I do have a potty mouth at times, but I'm really big on my faith. And, when he kind of explained, how much, his faith means to him, and the fact that, when he's in interviews and he's speaking to different people, various networks or what have you, you can tell that he says something to where you can recognize, like, man, that's a guy that's a man of faith. So I really appreciate that about the guy, and it tells you, his upbringing and where he come from. He come from a good family. So yeah, I'm a fan of him for sure.
I'm glad he dispelled the myth though, because I feel like I'm asked a lot, why do these athletes love golf from 48 handicappers, right? It's like, why does Michael Phelps and we saw LeBron James on the golf course at some point, Kevin Hart, well, not Kevin Hart, but he gonna be there eventually.
We're gonna get him on the show one day eventually.
We'll get Kevin in here, man. But it's like all these people they leave their careers on the gridiron court, what have you, excuse me, and they find their way to golf. And no different for Chris, and it's something that they can't master. I think that's the most interesting piece to me. Do you know how sadistic that is, right? I have mastered all of this over here, Will. And now this thing that's hard as hell, I'm gonna go take my shot at it. That's some arrogant stuff, but I appreciate it.
Right. And thing about it, it really shows how the man is, because golf will shoot your ass down every day, and then you come back and say, I want to try it again. So. It tells you, the character he has and how hard his game is as well.
I think you just described the definition of insanity. It's to do the same thing every day and expect a different outcome. Result. And when you suck at golf and you keep sucking, hey, that's going to be your reality. So you are insane, my individual friends. But Will.
What's that?
We got to get to it.
Oh, or do we?
We're going to figure out what's going to happen here.
Okay, let's do it. Okay.
It's that time.
Shank of the week!
Well, my Shank of the week this week goes to the runner-up at the Memorial Tournament presented by Nationwide. Give it to Colin Morikawa. Why am I giving it to Colin Morikawa? Look, I know the rough is dense there at Muirfield Village. I used to caddy there 2 seasons. Used to double bag it, walking around. Colin got on the back of 6th green the final round. Opened that blade up in that 4-inch Bermuda. Matter of fact, it wasn't Bermuda. It was bluegrass. Even worse rough to be in. It was 4 or 5 inches back there, Will. My man opened up the blade, downhill shot, water long. You got to have the height, Will. You got to have height and speed to get that thing to flop just perfectly. My man said, I'm going to just swing right under this ball. I'm just going to swing right under it. And that's what he did. Whiffed the ball. You should have heard Dottie Pepper's comments. It made me laugh. But I've done it before, and it's a hard shot, and it's always amplified when you have cameras and fans around. But why it's the Shank of the week, he then went on to lose the tournament, Will, in the playoff. So Colin Morikawa, I love you. You're one of my favorite golfers right now, but you have earned, sir, the coveted Shank of the week for the whiff.
We all done that, Doug. But my Shank of the Week, I have a lot of Shank of the Weeks, but this one is a little personal, and I'm a little bothered and I'm upset. Okay? So, quick background. Larry Fitzgerald, good friend of mine, and he, every time I get around Larry, he always has to take off my hat because he knows I don't have much of a hairline. I'm not ashamed of it, but, you know, I have to get mentally prepared for taking my hat off, right? And so anytime we get together, he snatch my hat off, he can have a couple jokes, laughs, whatever. Now, I'm doing this 100-hole hike in New Buffalo, Michigan, coming up June 14th. And we're doing it for Youth on Course organization. We asked Larry if he would make a donation, and he's going to do something. We don't know exactly. But pending his donation, he said, I need to have Will play 12 out of the 100 holes with his hat off. He's such an ass, man. So I got to have my hairline all out for 12 holes. And personally, Doug, I don't know if I really know these kids like that to do something like that. So these kids might not get that donation, whatever Larry's going to do. But, however, they want free golf. They can come to Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'll hook them at any golf course in Charlotte they want. I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna take my hat off for these damn kids. Man.
That's
just kidding.
We're gonna have to get Larry up in here to defend your hairline.
Yeah.
Why he want everybody to see it?
Yeah, I just don't know if I'm ready to I don't know if I'm ready to be vulnerable like that, bro. Just have my hairline all out, for the kids. I mean, them kids don't know me. I don't know the kids. You know what I'm saying? But I am happy to walk 100 holes with these kids. And it's all in good fun and growing.
It is for charity, Will. But look, Youth on Course is an organization that does provide $5 rounds of golf for kids all over the country. So it is a great cause, Will. And if there was something to take your head off,
why you gotta rub it in, Doug? Why you gotta rub it in?
It would be the kids. No, you're not gonna do it for the kids.
Man, my hairline out for these kids, man. I don't know, bro. I just don't know. That's something we gotta pray. That's something me and Chris Canty gotta pray about. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, let me know how it goes. Thank you all so much for always rocking with us right here on Golf Channel, NBC Sports Beyond the Fairway podcast. Look, follow, listen, subscribe, share. We want to grow. We know you want us to grow. We know you like this content. Give it to people. Share it. Send it out. Send me and Will some Venmo if you feel like it. I'm just, throwing it out there. Why not? Like, hey, Cash App, Venmo. Hey, I'll take it all. But hey, we appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all next week. We'll be in here. Not going to tell you who's coming, but we're coming with that heat. We'll holler at y'all next week.
I am a Zale guy.